Hello, and welcome to another beer review. Yes, this is still part of the Christmas Advent beer review series. No hat today because it's been annoying the hell out of me, to be totally honest. Scratchy and itchy and just not very pleasant. So, today we've got another Adrian donation as well. And this is quite an interesting one because it does kind of tweak the old heartstrings a bit, this one does. So today we've got McEwan's Headspace, and this is a Scotch whisky beer, and well, it probably won't be made in Scotland because we already kind of established that McEwan's isn't made in Scotland anymore. All their kind of breweries are gone. But this is a 5.8, and I think it's kind of along the kind of lines of the kind of Champion and things like that. So there's a bit of spiel in the back, so let's get that out of the way first of all. The perfect state of mind when things come together. God, here we go. A superb handcrafted beer blended with one of Scotland's finest celebrations. Synonymous with Scotland, the finest Scotch whisky has been blended with this smooth and fruity beer, giving unique, rich and full-bodied flavour. Why not also try McEwan's Champion, the award-winning premium beer in the McEwan's range? So there we go. And fair enough, brewed at Marsden's in Wolverhampton. There you go, eh? That's a Brummie. There we go, eh? So it's the Midlands. You couldn't get any less Scottish, could you? But anyway, let's keep that bollocks alive then, don't we? But anyway, so it's a 5.8 alcohol by volume. It's 500ml. Price, I don't know because I never bought it. It was kindly donated by Adrian, and greatly appreciated. And yeah, let's see what this is like. But I've got a funny feeling, I'm not sure, but I have an idea that I've got a funny feeling that this is going to be looking of a very similar beer to the McEwan's Champion, or it is actually the McEwan's Champion beer, although I think it's less alcohol content, and it's obviously going to have some whiskey tones, and it looks like they've blended some whiskey in it, so it hasn't been conditioned in any kind of barrels, because if they had it done, they'd been singing that one. Top of the bottle, and of course they've got the old kind of McEwan's kind of emblem. So yeah, let's get this poured and find out exactly what's happening. I'm getting some aromas already, and I've not even got my nose in the glass. So yes, let's see what this is going to be like. Well, it pours nice. And for Andy Mackay, it's a two-fingered head. So let's see. I'm getting a little bit of whiskey flavour, yes, a bit of the kind of whiskey mash flavour, or aroma. Used to get that a lot where I used to grow up. Get the smell of the mash coming down from the distillery. But anyway, there's maltiness, there's a bit of sweetness, slight fruitiness, dried fruits. But yes, there is that kind of slight tone of the grain, say the whiskey. So yeah, it's a different, of course it's a completely different smell, and it just kind of stands out, thinking that really shouldn't be there. But anyway, as you can see, it's it's not as dark, it's more of a kind of a standard, this is a kind of more standard heavy kind of colour. So it is. Then kind of more kind of towards a kind of blackish kind of stout colour, or porter colour. But yes, this is what it's kind of going to be like. Now, you maybe call this more of a ruby, but we'd call this more of a kind of standard, kind of heavy kind of colour. But let's get cracked in and see what it's got to taste like. That's something a bit different. Yeah, that's got a bit of ooh la la. I don't really want to know what to make of that, really. It's not what I expected. I need another sip to kind of try to explain this, exactly what I mean, but right. You take your first kind of sip, and just right at the very start, right at the very front of the mouth, tip of the tongue, tips it out, you get this kind of slight buttercream kind of flavour stroke kind of texture. I mean, it's not a creamy ale, it's not done with carbonated with nitrogen and all that, it's carbonated with obviously carbon dioxide, but it is just ever so slight. You just get that kind of, that kind of first sensation you get when you kind of drink American cream soda. It's not creamy, but it just gives you that slightly kind of strange kind of malt kind of creamy sensation just at the tip of the tongue. Then it goes into kind of malty sweetness in the kind of mid-tongue. And then as that malty sweetness just kind of tones down a bit, just to kind of give you that kind of ever so slight hints of dried fruits in the aftertaste. And then you have this kind of slight, how would you call it, ever so slight bitterness coming out, but it's bitterness coming from the whiskey. So you get kind of a whiskey kind of accents that are just providing just kind of little sharp and bitter tones in the aftertaste. It kind of dissipates, and what you're left with is ever so slight flavours in pockets of the mouth. You've got no real flavour left hanging or lingering in this area. Just little pockets of. It feels like you've had a mouthful of beer and a mouthful of whiskey, and you just kind of mixed it about, and just, certain parts of the mouth are still kind of hanging on to little bits of the flavour of the whiskey and things like that, and it's quite kind of strange and unique in some ways. It's not what I would have expected it was going to taste like. And me thinking it was going to be maybe a beer very similar to McEwan's Champion, or maybe it's McEwan's Champion kind of watered down and then kind of blended with whiskey. No. It is very different from McEwan's Champion. McEwan's Champion is very rich, very full-bodied, very strong flavoured beer. This does actually feel more like a heavy that's been blended with whiskey. It's got a nice mouthfeel, so it has. Nice velvety kind of mouthfeel. But it's hard to pinpoint some of the flavours, because with each mouthful, just different parts of the mouth are just picking up the flavour profiles I've explained to you. And it's kind of all higgledy-piggledy all over the place in the mouth. It's nice but strange, and kind of probably a little bit unsettling in some ways, because it's not acting like a normal beer should from that point of view. It's a strange one, because with the flavour profile and how your mouth is reacting, I would say it's non-sessionable. It's a non-session beer. It's a beer to just kind of be sipped and enjoyed slowly and with kind of thought. That sounds like a lot of buttercard pish, doesn't it? But anyway, you know what I mean. You know what I'm trying to get to say. It's one of these ones that you can savour it and just sit back and enjoy it and just take your time with it, that type of thing. And get what you want from it. But with the mouthfeel and everything else, and just how the flavour profiles are and how they're reacting in the mouth, it's also very drinkable. It's actually very easy to drink. So it's like, in some ways the flavour profile makes it non-sessionable, but in some areas how the flavour profile reacts to your mouth actually makes it quite easy to drink. It is a unique one, and my honest view is try it. That's what I would probably recommend. It is a strange one. And yeah. That is a strange one. And it is a nice looking beer as well, how it's coating the glass and just how it's reacting and everything else. It's that type of, it's like when beer is sexy, this is the type of thing they show you, and it just looks so enticing and inviting because it just looks just so nice. And but it's not a strong flavour of whiskey in any way, shape or form. That's one good thing. You're not sort of like about the flavour of the whiskey fighting the flavour of the beer and trying to get kind of who's the most dominant. Just little accents and hints of whiskey, and it's quite subtle. But it's subtle enough not to overpower the beer, but it's strong enough to kind of unsettle the beer profile. So it's like you're linking it thinking it's beer. I can taste accents and beer flavours there, but I can also taste accents and whiskey flavours, and it's like, I think the wrong word is blended, because I don't think they have blended. They haven't married together, to seamlessly. They're both kind of, it's like oil and water. It's like you shake them together, they don't blend together and that type of stuff. They'll kind of intersperse with each other, but they don't actually kind of emulsify together and make a single unit. And of course, if you settle it, then of course they all go back to their own separate, oil and water kind of areas. And I think this is what it's like. It's like oil and water being mixed together and then drunk, and you're getting little kind of flavour pockets of water and little flavour pockets of oil and things like this. And I'm talking about more kind of like olive oil or something like that, not talking about kind of engine oil, because, well, I wouldn't recommend drinking that. Although I have probably tasted some beers that are probably similar. But yeah, this is a strange one. And this is a kind of upset the apple cart, but I've tried to keep the reviews down to kind of 10 minutes or below. I might not have always done that, but this has already gone on longer than what I originally planned. But it's trying to explain to you what this beer's like, and it is something a bit different. It really is unique in some ways. Out of 5, what would I give it? For the uniqueness, I would give it a 3. But for the flavour profiles and how it feels and how it drinks, I would give it a 3.5. And with overall kind of just general what it's like, it is very different. It's very hard to kind of gauge it, and I don't think 3.5 is enough from that point of view, because it is a nice beer, but it's very kind of strange, and it just doesn't act like a normal beer, and your mouth doesn't kind of feel as if like you're drinking a normal beer in any way, shape or form. It just, your mouth is kind of trying to kind of, every time you take a sip, you're trying to kind of work out, what am I drinking here? It's nice, but you're trying to identify it, you're trying to kind of categorise it. And I'll be totally honest, I'm struggling. Because I like whiskey. Of course I do. I'm a Scotsman. But I like whiskey and I like beer. But none of what I'm drinking here is giving me none of the kind of mouth reactions of like if I was drinking whiskey or if I'm drinking beer. It's very strange indeed, very strange. So I'm actually going to give it a 4 out of 5, just because of it's hard to kind of nail it down. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what this really is. It is a nice beer, but it has strange kind of unique flavour profiles, and it's very hard to kind of pinpoint these flavour profiles. And I wouldn't be surprised if other people drink it and they maybe get slightly different kind of flavour profiles, and maybe at different areas of the mouth compared to what I'm getting. So I think this is the type of beer that, like, if Adrian was donated this beer, but if we both sat down and drank this beer, I would probably, if I named my kind of flavour profiles of what I'm getting and he named his flavour profiles, I think there would be differences, and not just differences of flavour profiles, but also differences of what we're getting at different areas of the mouth, you know, front, middle and back, aftertaste, all that kind of stuff. Because I think as part of this beer, a lot of it's down to is how you personally react to it. And I think that also adds to the uniqueness, and it's interesting. This is something a bit different from my point of view. I've had other whiskey beers and things like this, but this is a different type of whiskey beer. A different type of kind of amalgamation, or marriage, as the Scots used to put that when they basically, you know, if they mix whiskey or with anything, then it's always classed as a marriage. I mean, it was a very popular thing in the 90s, and that was mixing Scotch malt whiskey with Armagnac or French brandy or things like that, and it was always referred to as a marriage. You weren't blending it, you weren't mixing it, it was a marriage between the two, you know, that type of thing, you know. A lot of it Baltica pish. But anyway, this is something a bit kind of different. It's not like a beer with hints or accents of whiskey, it's like a beer and whiskey together, but kind of reacting quite differently. So yes, I would recommend you to try it, and it'd be interesting to see or hear what you got from it, because I have a funny feeling that if I drank another bottle of this, say tomorrow, I would probably have a different kind of reaction, a different kind of review and a different opinion of it. I think it's that type of kind of divisive. I think that's probably the best way of putting it. It's quite divisive, and it is a strange one. So yeah, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5, but I honestly don't know. I could try it again and maybe give it a 3 out of 5. I mean, it's, as a beer itself, it's what I'd like to do is try the beer without the whiskey in it, and just to see what that's like, because I think that would be nice anyway. I think it would be a nice, the base beer that's being used is a nice beer, you know that, and you can just see how it's reacting and everything else. But here's a strange thing, as a whiskey drinker, I'm not interested in seeing what the whiskey they used or tasting the whiskey separate. I'm more interested in actually tasting the beer separate as well, because I think that would also be a very good beer. So, without the whiskey. But yeah, it's a strange one. Thanks, Adrian, for that, because it's something quite different, and I would recommend, Adrian, try some for yourself, because it's unusual. But yeah, 4 out of 5, 500ml bottle, 5.8. Can't give you an idea of price, but I think it probably would be in between £2 and £3 a bottle. It'd be under £3 anyway, I would probably say. But yeah, it is something different, and it's something I'm going to buy again. Well, I didn't buy it this time, but anyway, I probably will buy it, just to kind of try, because I want to try a couple of experiments and just to see what it's like. Because I think this has got more to it and it'd be interesting just to see, as a personal thing, what it's going to be like. But anyway, that's our review for this evening. Thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now.